Hi, my name is Erubiel Limas.
Hi, my name is Eduardo Richert.
We are the group 5 and we are gonna present you our final project, which is of a text called Celebrating the Life of Gloria Anzaldúa.
This is our first slide, that is the content, and this is what we're going to talk about in the project. First of all, we are going to have the KWL chart, then the glossary. After that, we are going to have the TTW, TTT, TTS charts, the cultural elements, the summary, the different ending, and finally the scrapbook.
In the KWL chart, we have in the part what we know, that we know Gloria Anzaldúa because in past classes we read some of her books. We knew her a little about her life, and we know that she is a Chicana, LGBTQ+, and she supports the feminist movement. And what we want to know, we want to learn more about her life, what other things she does, and how many books did she publish. And finally, in what we learned, we learned everything she did, where she was from, and where she lived. Also things like the type of writing change depending on the topic she was talking about. Next, for the glossary, we have as first word peddlage, which definition in English is a species of wild cacao used to prepare aphrodisiac beverages in ancient times. And the example from the text is the Tejana peddlage Nepantlera spiritual activist. Next, the word is Nepantlera. In the middle of it, or the space in between. That's the definition. And the example from text is Tejana Pelech Nepantlera spiritual activist, which is the same of the first one. Next, we have rebelled. That is something to reject, resist, or rise in arms against one's government or rule. Our example for that was the kids rebelled, insisting they wear shorts despite the cold weather. The next one is repealed, which meaning is to rescind or annul by authoritative act. And the example from the text is, but we've lost ground, affirmative action has been repealed. The fifth word is mainstream. For that word, we put in personal example that mainstream brands now sell stylish shirts.
Nuance, characterized by shades of meaning or expression. Multiplicity, a large number of the same thing. Depicting is showing or represented by a drawing, painting, or other art. Compassionate is feeling or showing sympathy and concern for others. And deny, that states for refuses to admit the truth or existence.
For the next charts, I'm gonna explain you one example of each. First, text to world. This reminds us of the constant fight for inclusive education. Text to text reminds us also of the reading of La Prieta by Gloria Anzaldúa that we saw in the semester. And for text to self, reminds me that the soldiers stop me often when I'm crossing the bridge just because I'm very young. That's what they say. For the cultural elements, we have first Gloria Anzaldúa, next indigenous roots, borderlands, identity, intersectionality, cultural struggles, also things like spirituality, feminism, queer theory, language, identity, Chicana, bilingualism, and sexuality.
Then we have the summary about her life. Gloria Anzaldúa was born in 1942 in South Texas. She was a groundbreaking Chicana writer, poet, and activist. Her early life on the US-Mexico border shaped her identity and inspired her work on cultural hybridity, bilingualism, and intersectionality. Her seminal book, Borderlands, La Frontera, The New Mestiza blends autography, poetry, and theory to explore the complexities of identity, emphasizing fluidity over fixed categories.
Ansaldúa also taught a class called La Mujer Chicana. During this time, she struggled to find materials that reflect the experiences of her students, which drove her to edit the anthology. Her linguistic innovation, incorporating English, Spanish, and Spanglish, symbolizes the life realities of borderland communities. Her legacy continues to influence contemporary discussions on intersectionality, identity, and activism, and Saldua's groundbreaking ideas remain central in academic fields and cultural movements, inspiring individuals to embrace and celebrate multifaceted identities. For this next slide, we put a very famous picture of Gloria Ansaldúa where she is reclining on some tables. Almost for the end, we have the different ending where we chose to put this. Gloria Ansaldúa was a person who is a total defender of human rights and more referring to those of Chicano people located in the United States. By identifying herself as part of the LGBTQ+ community, she leaves a legacy in not only Mexican society, but also in Canada, it was the place where she took refuge since the United States did not accept people with preferences other than heterosexual, leaving the United States out of the free trade agreement and causing any other country with which it was related to cut off their ties, thanks to the story of Gloria Ansaldúa.
Finally, we have the scrapbook, when we put the most iconic photos from Gloria, and we also put the two covers about her books that made her famous. One of them was the Borderlands, La Frontera, and the other one was Friends from the Other Side. And that's all for our project. We hope you like our presentations, and thank you so much for your attention.